holidays, Raider Nation nationwide,
Let's go.
get some.
Yo, what is going on, Raider Nation? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Get in the chat, say what up. James Furpo said, Raiders, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you a lot. And he said, yes, but the Brady rule, Stafford offensive rule, now Rams versus Vikings. Vikings was robbed by that fumble. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Gabriel, salute, bro. Hopefully you're doing good. Good afternoon. I'm doing good, man. One of the few days I get to work from home, getting some stuff done. So I wanted to come pop on, do a show real quick with you guys. Kind of the theme of today's show, kind of want to talk about just the NFL in general. The show was inspired by Watts Raider yesterday. You guys know we kind of dove into the Patriots history, their draft history. And I feel like Watts said something real important about one of the reasons why the Patriots were so dominant for so long was they almost always had a really good defense. And so with the playoffs, it was really with the season ending, but especially with the playoffs and some of the stuff we've seen that I want to kind of look into is, because I'm mainly more of an offensive guy. Just being honest with you guys, that's kind of my forte. So I always focus a lot more on the offense than defense. So I know there's a lot of other guys that could probably do a better job breaking down the defense and defensive stats. But, looking at myself, and I think a lot of us in the as far as NFL fandom, I personally feel like a lot of us have overlooked the importance of defense, which is the title of the show. Does defense still win championships? We're all enamored by the big time quarterbacks, and yeah, you do need a quarterback. You do need a good offense, but I feel like just over the years that a lot of us have gotten to a point where we almost feel like defense doesn't win championships. And I think that's, maybe not a fair analysis when we look at these playoffs and the Raiders, even though we're not in the playoffs, but our defense taking a step back this year. But if you look at the really good teams, I think it's an important question. Does defense still win championships? So I want to talk about that. And then the other main topic that I would say is the contenders from the pretenders. As the season ended, I really felt like this was a different year than some of the other years that we'll get into. We'll start with that. And that is, looking at the overall records of some of these teams and how, in my opinion, in a lot of years, there was a lot of teams that were kind of middle tier, and then maybe one or two or a couple or a few, really good teams with a good record. But this year, I think it was different, man. This year, you had a lot of teams that had really bad records. Not as many teams in the middle tier as far as, how their record ended as the season wrapped up. And then, there was just a big gap, I feel like, more so this year than other years in the NFL as far as overall record goes. And my question is, how much of these like records were teams that had really good defenses? Obviously, they probably had some good offenses as well, but I just feel like there was a big gap between the contenders and the pretenders, of the great teams and the bad teams. So we'll look at that. Get in the chat here real quick. Sorry, my phone is ringing there. Turn that down. Gabriel said he's feeling under the weather, have the flu. Sorry, bro. Yeah, I just got done having something, dude. So you guys, dude, rest up. Hopefully, set the notifications this time. Appreciate it, J-Dog. Gord, you too? Dang, dude, everybody's sick, man. I know. Dude, my family had that thing for like, it wasn't till like probably yesterday or day before or something, I started feeling better. I had that thing for almost 2 weeks, bro. So hopefully you guys get better. Drink lots of water. And I don't know, my wife was giving us like vitamins and all that stuff, like vitamin D or something to try to heal up fast. So you guys get your rest, man. But thanks for popping in here. All right, so let's start with some of these overall records here, guys, of these teams, and then we'll get into the defense. So this is just total NFL in general. Lions 15-2, so this is before the playoffs. Chiefs 15-2, Vikings 14-3, Eagles 14-3, Bills 13-4, Ravens 12-5, Commanders 12-5. So I would say like any record that's 12-5 and higher is pretty freaking good, you know, as opposed to obviously 10-7. And some of this is Mr. Obvious stuff, but if you look at it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 teams that were better, you know, 12-5 at least or better. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive to have that many teams in the running for the playoffs to have a really good record. And then after the Commanders, if I said Redskins, I apologize. Sometimes I goof that up still. But after the Commanders was Packers 11-6, Chargers 11-6, Broncos 10-7. I think 10-7 is still pretty good, but Broncos 10-7, Texans 10-7, Rams 10-7, Steelers 10-7, Seahawks 10-7. There's a lot of 10-7 teams. Buccaneers 10-7. So then after the Buccaneers, then you get like the middle tier, 9-8, 8-9. You know, and then you go down from like the Panthers down. Let's look at all like the terrible teams, you know, or the bad teams. I'd say anybody probably with less than 6 wins is probably in the not a good, overall record. You could even maybe argue 6. 6 or worse is pretty bad. But 5 and worse, let's count them. We got Panthers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then Titans 10. 10 teams that won 5 or fewer games. Like, that's pretty crazy, right? I mean, like, is it just me, or like, I feel like a lot of other years there's been a lot more middle of the road teams. So, if we pull out my calculator here real quick, 10 divided by 32. So it's like 30% of the teams had a record that was 5 wins or less. I mean, that's a lot, dude. That really is. This was a year, guys, when I like looked at it and I evaluated it, where I was like, man, there's just such a big gap between the superstar teams and the struggling teams, you know. And then my question becomes, what is it in the NFL that has created this big gap? Is it offense? Is it defense? Is it a combination? I mean, there has to be a reason, because this is like one of the years I personally feel like there's just, a big gap between the contenders and the pretenders, you know, and some years it's hard to separate the two, you know. So are the elite teams that much more elite, or what was it? What do you guys think? What was the cause to create this big gap in some of these records of the good teams and the bad teams? So this is the same thing. It's just broken down by division. Scroll through this real quick. I don't know if I'm gonna read it off. So this is like the same thing, just, through broken up by division, because sometimes that's important to look at, I mean, the one that stands out to me is probably the Commanders, 12-5. That's pretty crazy. You know what I mean? And they just won their playoff game. Obviously, we all probably wanted Jaden Daniels. You got the Lions 15-2, Vikings 14-3. Vikings just lost. We'll get into that. Buccaneers 10-7. Rams 10-7, Seahawks 10-7. So, it's interesting. I think it's an interesting topic. what's creating this big gap. So, and if you guys want to pull up, I did put in the StreamYard link if you want. But yeah, and then I guess next let's kind of get into. See, I want to kind of set this up. Let's go overall season with defense. So. All right, so this one was like Fox 2024 NFL defensive ranks. So this has like team pass and rush stats. So this is total defense. So the Eagles were in first place here. Make sure you guys see that all right. Maybe I should put my picture down here. Blow it up a little more. All right. You guys can see Eagles had the number one defense, allowed 278 yards, 33 touchdowns allowed. Titans for total def. Why is Titans number second? I don't understand that, to be honest with you. So that's kind of weird. I don't know why they put the Titans at second when they allowed 55 touchdowns. That seems like a lot of touchdowns they allowed versus some of the other teams. Nevertheless, all right. So they got the Raiders down here, a number 15 spot, allowing or defensive yards allowed on average per game, 333 yards on average and 46 touchdowns. I probably should have gone back for the Raiders and tried to see what we were at last year, but I definitely felt like our defense took a step back from, the touchdowns allowed, the total yards, as well as I would even say interceptions. I know we took a step back on interceptions. So I wish they had like total sacks. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up on one of these, but because what was it? Was it the Rams or it was the Broncos? One of the teams had a ton of total sacks. So, all right, let's same thing. We're gonna get into the defense. They don't. This is like NFL Network. The only reason why I don't exactly like this one is because just the way, like, you can't tell like if it's number, where at you have to count the numbers. They don't have like it at number 1, 2, 3, all the way down to like where the Raiders were last time at like 15. But anyways, so for here, this would be like interceptions for Niners had 11, Bengals had 15, Bills 16. I just want to look at interceptions here real quick. Colts had 16, Cowboys 13. Raiders only had 10. I mean, it would have been nice had we got anywhere from like, I'd say 2 to like maybe 5 more interceptions versus some of these other teams. Damn, Vikings had 24 interceptions. Man, that's a recipe for them to be in the playoffs. That's for sure. I'm not going to look at the interception for touchdowns, interception yards. All right, let's go into passing. So I thought interceptions would be a good one. All right, so this is passing. So defense done. So the previous one was done by interceptions. This is like passing yards like allowed. I think yards attempts. Sorry, guys. I wanted to kind of think about probably the most important, like one would probably be completion percentage and yards attempts. So probably either of these two. So let's look at completion percentage. Raiders down here, 66, 370. I mean, that's a lot, man. And then yards and attempts. I guess we weren't too far down the list for that, 7.1. So definitely weren't that good in passing. Let's go to rushing. Oh, Raiders are way down here. We allowed 1987. Is that what that is? Or yeah, rushing yards, 1987. Yards per carry. Yards per carry, 4.4. I mean, you'd like to see that maybe down closer to the 4 range, but and then touchdowns, 14. Seems like not too bad for allowing rushing touchdowns. I thought we'd be higher than that, but I think the way NFL Network has this, or NFL.com, where like you can separate it by like touchdowns to put it in like that order. So we're probably middle of the road there, but if you look at like, some of these other teams, they like, only allowing the Chargers only allowed 7 touchdowns. They'll probably have a really good like red zone defense. And we'll look into some of these playoff teams coming up here too. All right, let's do receiving. Reception yards. Let's look at this by yards, total yards allowed. Raiders 39.89, so we're kind of middle of the road again. I mean, I could count to see exactly what place, but like just to kind of show you guys, we allowed a lot of yards versus maybe some of the other teams. Look at yards over reception. It's like average yards per reception, 10.8, maybe a little better than middle of the road, but let's look at touchdowns allowed. That's probably not a good stat. We probably allowed a lot of touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. So yeah, 29 right here. Whereas some of these best teams, like Bears 17, although they weren't good. Lions 18, even with all their injuries, they allowed 18. That's pretty good. Jets, they sucked. Saints sucked. Cardinals. So, but Eagles, they're up there in the top list. They got a really good defense. So, and obviously they're in the playoffs. Scoring, I'm not going to focus on tackles. See if tackles does sacks. Yeah, there we go. Nice. All right, so this is an important stat to go by, I think. Sacks. How do they? Is this? Why is it? It's like reverse order. Oh, there we go. Yeah, all right, so this is the stat. So when Broncos were playing this week, and I heard the stat that honestly blew me away. The Broncos had 63 sacks. I mean, that's pretty nuts. This is probably one of the more important stats, if we're being honest. Ravens had 54. Obviously, both of those teams were in the playoffs. Cowboys, no, they weren't in the playoffs. Texans, 49 sacks. Vikings, 49 sacks. So Texans are in the playoffs. Vikings are in the playoffs. Chargers, 46 sacks. They're in the playoffs. Buccaneers are in the playoffs. Packers in the playoffs, 45 sacks. So, one of the biggest stats right here is sacks, and Raiders are down here at 38. I mean, not terrible, but man, it would have been nice to be in like 45 or better. Maybe had Christian Wilkins not got hurt, maybe that might jump us up, but 38, that's not great. Let's see about tackles. Let's see solo, or let's just do combined. That will tell us where we're at. So middle of the road, 1,082, where like the best team, or there we go. 1,224 is the best team for like with the Panthers combined tackles, and Raiders are at 1082. So I think that was it that I really wanted to look at. Fumbles, I don't know. I guess we can go to fumbles real quick. And maybe we'll revisit interceptions real quick one more time. Fumble recovered. So the Bills are number 1 at fumbles recovered with 16. I don't even remember us getting a lot of fumbles this year. Dang, dude, we only had 3 fumbles. Dude, that's a terrible stat. Good Lord. Man, dude. I knew it was bad. I didn't think it was going to be quite that bad. You like look at it compared to everybody else, and it's like, bro, we were like pretty much we're tied for last place for fumbles recovered out of everybody in the NFL. With this, we're tied with the Saints and the Jaguars. Man, we did not get enough fumbles. Where last year, We definitely got a few more fumble recoveries and whatnot. So that's a terrible stat on the Raiders defense. Definitely need to get that stat up. That's interesting why we fell off so much, because I felt like last year we did a lot better job with the fumble recoveries, causing teams to fumble and getting the ball. And then interceptions. Let's just look at this one more time. Vikings at 24. I just want to organize this in order. And Raiders had 10. So I think it's a combination of things, guys, on our defense. I think it's interceptions. I think it's fumble recovers is bad. And then I also think sacks needs to improve. So, you look at those positions. D-line needs to get better, obviously. Obviously, our cornerbacks need to get better. And this defense, has to be trying to get that ball out. So I know we had a lot of injuries on the defense, but what do you guys think of some of those stats? Is there something I missed? I was trying my best to kind of go through it, try to look at it. I mainly focused on the Raiders, but I did want to kind of look at a couple teams, that are in the playoffs and see what their defense looks like. Again, the question, like, does defense still win championships? Are we all kind of overlooking the defense, the importance of a defense? So shout out to Watts Raider. He said this yesterday, talking about the Patriots, why they were so good in the defense. And, like I said, I'm more of an offensive guy usually, but as we've seen in the playoffs that we're going to get into, there's been a lot of teams where their defense has stepped up, and really created havoc for the other team. So, and we're all, myself included, like we look at like the sexy quarterback play and the offense that, you want to be, balling out and stuff. But it just brings me back to, have we overlooked the importance of defenses, So, and then, coming up here in a minute, after I get in the chat, we're going to look at these playoff teams and see what the defenses did, man. So, Gord, shout out to you, bro, said the detriment of our defense was our offense. Early in games, the most part, our D held us in the games. Offensive start going 3 and outs. It won't be long. Defense will suffer. Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah. So when the defense time of possession, right. So when your offense is going 3 and out and your defense on the field too much, it's going to take a toll on your defense. So I agree with that. You're right. I think it's a combination of things, but you're right. Yeah, I agree. What is this? I don't know how to pronounce it. Edorado. I probably messed that up. Sorry, bro. Hopefully you're doing good. He said this past weekend playoff wildcard game showed defense still wins, especially with pick six, scoop and score. Facts, bro. Facts. OG Raider, dude. Salute. Hopefully you're doing good. OJ Raider. Sorry. Ain't seen you in a minute. Thanks for pulling up, bro. Said, who the fuck made Brady the next Howie Rosen? Needs some more. Oh, nice. Yeah. Michael said 918. Salute, bro. Hope you're doing good. He said, salute chat. Missed live yesterday. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Yeah, I know I normally don't go live right now, but yeah, I'm working from home these last couple days, so I want to do a couple shows. This one I've been kind of thinking about. Missing 2 or 3 best linemen hurt us for sure. Yeah, facts. Yeah, D lineman. Yep, for sure. OJ said, yeah, string defense definitely a staple for winning, but this is now a QB driven league, and all those strong defenses made the playoffs had one thing in common: a viable above average QB. Facts. Strong defense. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and that's one of the things, as we kind of look at this, I do want to consider the importance of a good quarterback, but man, I also want to just try to analyze this to see, if Pete Carroll, a defensive minded head coach, comes on, I think there's some positives that can come from it. So, hey guys, give me a quick minute. I'll put on just like a 30-second video. I'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. I'm gonna put on this 1 minute video. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys. All right, so next up, let's look at kind of some of the playoffs here, and then not going to be too long-winded. Try not to be. And then after that, we'll kind of look. Maybe we'll talk about some of the Raiders. Some of the Raiders team and maybe what we need moving forward. A lot of this we all know where our struggles are and stuff, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Raider Paul, salute Raiders. Appreciate you, bro. Hope you're doing good. All right. Oh, this is one more. This is defense. This is broken down by team opponent points allowed per game. This is another good one I kind of saw. Hopefully you guys can see that good enough. Raiders down here. Where the heck are we? Oh, it's right here. 25.5. So as far as the Raiders and the points we allow per game, our defense is way down here at averaging 25.5. Worst team, 31.4, which was the Panthers. And then the best team as far as like defense is the Eagles. So this is probably another important stat I wanted to look at real quick. I'm gonna blow that up real quick a little bit. All right, so you have the Eagles, the Chargers, Denver, the Chiefs, Minnesota, Vikings, Detroit, Pittsburgh. Damn, dude, this is crazy. Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston. What do all those teams have in common? From 11 all the way up, from Miami, or not Miami, from Houston all the way to number 1 with points allowed. All those teams are in the playoffs, guys. Every single one of those teams, the points allowed, are in the playoffs. So if your defense, like if we were to go off of this stat, if your defense could average 21 or less points, you're probably going to win the game. That's what this stat shows me. Sometimes I like to look at numbers. Sometimes it kind of convolutes it or whatever, you would think sometimes there's like a point differential on the home games. So like right here, you have the Eagles, averaging 15 points, and then away 19. So you would think you'd be better at home games with your crowd and stuff. But if we go down to where to go to the Raiders here at number 25, I mean, you look at our home and away games, they're like the same thing. It's not like we're doing a whole lot better at home than away, So our home games were allowing 25.4 and our away games were allowing 25.7. So the Raiders, and our defense allowed obviously too many points. I mean, like, again, some of this is Mr. Obvious kind of stuff. But, again, if we're questioning if defense wins championships, look at this. Again, Eagles, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, Vikings, Packers, Detroit, or Lions, Steelers, Buffalo, the Bills, Ravens, Texans. So you see what I'm saying? And then, Rams down here at 15. That wasn't like the top 11, but Tampa Bay, like all the best teams, like almost all the teams in the playoffs, guys, guess what? They're not allowing that many points. I think that stat alone almost proves that defense does still win championships. You look at last year, I started thinking about this earlier. You look at last year and the Chiefs. Why did the Chiefs win that Super Bowl? Their defense carried them. You go back even to Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning, was on the tail end of his career and he struggled. He, went through some injuries. But that second Super Bowl that Peyton Manning went to with the Broncos, they won that Super Bowl strictly because of their defense. So we've all been enamored by these sexy quarterbacks, right? But the stats, like everything proves the importance of defense does, in fact, still win championships. So like we look at the Raiders, and our roster, we got to get some cornerbacks that can intercept the ball. We got to be getting more sacks on our team, and this again is a little tough for me because I'm always like offensive minded thinking. Like I don't focus usually too much on the defense because that's just the way I've always been an offensive guy. But there's some things I think that prove it, not just in the stats, but you look at the best teams and their defense is doing really well. And we're going to get into the playoffs here and maybe look at some stats and stuff of these playoff teams and who won and didn't. But as I'm watching, like the thing I'm trying to set up and hopefully show you guys And I don't know if you guys saw it, but as I'm watching these playoff games, the teams that won, like say Herbert, like Justin Herbert, he threw, I think it was 3 interceptions all year long. And then he freaking, chokes and he throws 4 interceptions, Chargers lost that game almost strictly because the interceptions by Justin Herbert, which you got to give credit to the Houston Texans defense, because the Houston Texans defense did really well. And then last night, you look at the Vikings and the Rams. The Rams had 9 sacks on Sam Darnold, 9 sacks in one game. That's pretty nuts. And that's without Aaron Donald on the Rams. So for the Rams to get, and some people want Sam Darnold, dude. I think it was a combination of things. Why Sam Darnold sucked so bad last night or whatever. You could maybe blame it on the offensive line, but part of it was Sam Darnold or whatever. Like he looked like the same old Sam Darnold last night, guys. So to get 9 sacks is utterly insane. So those are 2 small examples. We'll go through the stats here real quick, but hopefully you guys, as you saw these playoff games, hopefully you saw the same thing I did. And I was really surprised by the teams that won. Most of them, it was their defense stepped up and almost won them the game. Yeah, you needed offense, you needed to score those points, but I think there's a lack of us giving credit to how important defenses are in the NFL. And you could tie that into the Raiders looking at Pete Carroll and being like, hey, everybody wants the offensive-minded coach, and I do too, if I'm being honest with you guys. But if you go with a Pete Carroll, they could be a recipe, man. It could be a recipe because all these teams, and as we look through the stats, hopefully you kind of saw the picture I'm trying to paint here. Hopefully you saw the importance of defense does still win championships, no matter the year. We've gotten to a point where we all want the sexy quarterback, but we've forgotten, in my opinion, I'm pointing at myself, of how important it is to have a good defense, and that defense will still always win you a championship. And yes, you have to have a good quarterback, at least a mediocre or above average quarterback, if you have a great defense to win a championship. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be defense wins championships. I hate to say it, but you guys remember Peyton Manning, his first Super Bowl before Super Bowl 50, and how stellar that offense was. I mean, they were freaking amazing, dude. They had all the stats, number 1 offense, all that stuff. Their defense, I think, struggled a little bit, but in my opinion, Broncos probably lost that Super Bowl because the defense was not elite. And then the next time Peyton Manning goes to the Super Bowl with the Broncos, Super Bowl 50, they have the number 1 defense and a mediocre offense, and they still win a championship. So your defense can carry you to a victory. Look at the Chiefs last year, man. They literally won the Super Bowl or the championship because their defense carried them, to the playoffs and all through the playoffs. So, all right, get in the chat here and we'll look at these stats real quick. And that was what OJ Raider was saying about all right, we'll get in your next comment here. And you guys put something in the chat. What are you thinking? Am I crazy? I mean, I know it's not the sexy thing. Everybody looks at the quarterback and wants to, Jaden Daniels or whatever. And there's a reason why the Commanders are in the playoffs and stuff. A lot of it is to have that sexy quarterback. But dang, dude, I can't put aside the importance of the defense. You know what I mean? OJ Raider said, and in my opinion, who wants more important than above average QB is the play caller. The Raiders have to absolutely nail this next hire. He's like, look what Darnold Mayfield came to be with a good play caller. Yeah. But their defenses didn't do nearly as good as the other team, too. So, factor that in the upcoming season. Possibly going to go to the Raiders Denver game in Denver. Who's in? I might be, depending on my financial situation, I might consider going to the Denver game at Denver. I mean, I don't know if I probably can't afford going to Vegas, dude, if I'm being honest with you. A wife and 2 kids, so it'd be expensive for me. But defense wins championships, but it can't make up for mediocre offense like it used to be. There is some truth to that. I will agree. There's definitely Circus Raider, dude. Salute. Sorry, bro. I almost missed your name. You're right. It has to be a combination of things, man, for sure, bro, for sure. So, and obviously our offense was below mediocre. So you do know Ben Johnson, our new coach, right? He said, already hired to be our new coach after the playoffs. Came report Adam Scheffner. Ooh, interesting. Carroll 73. I'm good on that. Ben Johnson, come on down. Let's go. Breaking news. Raiders hired Ben Johnson. Are you for real, man? Hold on. Raider Paul. I don't know if you're trolling on IG. Hold on a second, man. Let's see. You guys messing with me, bro? Is that a rumor? Hold on. You know what I gotta do? Hold on. I gotta check my sources here. Hold on. I gotta check my sources here. Hold on. Will the Raiders hire Ben Johnson? Checking my sources. Cannot predict now. Damn it. Let me try again. Has Ben Johnson been hired as the Raiders' next head coach? It's my magic 8-ball, man. These are my sources. Don't count on it. Damn it. My sources are usually right, man. My sources are usually right. Son bitch. All right. Watts Raider, dude. Shout out to you, bro. This is kind of inspired by you talking about the defense yesterday, the importance of the Patriots. So I'm definitely curious what you have to say, bro. Defense wins championships because in the playoffs, you most likely have two good offenses. So whatever team's defense plays well, you win usually. All these playoff games, the defense were dominant. Facts, bro. Facts. And when you said that about the Patriots yesterday, it kind of, made me think about this, of how important it is to have a defense that's good on your freaking team, man. Our defense took a step back this year, man. Let's be real about it, man. Oh, yeah, you're talking about Colorado. I'm right there with you. Yeah, if you want to come out to Donkeyville here, let me know. I definitely would go to a fucking Colorado game next year. Ben Johnson is not hired officially. You said hardcore, I got IG. Yeah, it's I think it's Raider.hardcore. Give me a second, bro. You think I would know this, but yeah, it's Raider.hardcore. You can send it to me on there. I mean, I just checked my sources, bro. I showed you guys my sources, man. Everybody's got sources. I got sources too. I just showed you on my phone my sources as a magic 8-ball, bro. You guys funny, dude. We need the players. I have no preference and who the coach is. We need the players. Facts, bro. We do. Scheme fit. I agree, but it's got to be scheme fit in some of this. Probably Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll will be my choice. I'm warming up to Pete Carroll. I know I said no yesterday, but I've been trying to be open-minded about it. And as I've looked at, to be honest with you guys, this is why I'm talking about does defense win championships? As I've thought about it more and more and thinking back to the Seahawks and why they were so good and the championships or one Super Bowl, they should have won two, how they freaking handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, but, on the goal line. But anyways, as I'm looking at it, to have a defensive minded coach, I don't think it's such a bad thing. Where initially I'm like, oh, you got to have an offensive minded coach. If we go a defensive minded head coach, I think there could be some like really good positives from it. So, and you can still got to have, obviously a good play caller and all that. Making Patrick Graham head coach was a hogwash. I heard that rumor. You messaged me on IG. All right, I'll look at it in a minute, man. All right. Watts said only because he could put together a staff and have instant direction and probably would make players stay. Yeah, and that was one of the things I was kind of thinking about. Adam Scheffner, never wrong. Look at the Rams game. They shut down the offense. We need DC who plays press coverage with the safeties over the top every play. Look at Packers game. Shut down. Facts, bro. Facts. Preach it, man. Bucks GM coming to join Ben Johnson. Let me check this IG message. Hold on, guys. Better be wasting my time, brother. Accept. All right, I accepted your request, so you can send me a message now if you want. Eagles defense sealed the game. Where is it? So defense is important in the playoffs. Yeah, facts. No, you ain't lying, bro. So, all right, let's kind of look at some of these playoff games. We'll kind of, hit the nail in the coffin here real quick. We'll start with the Chargers game. Look at a few defensive stats. I want to mainly just focus on the defense today. All right, so going to ESPN. This is Chargers at Texans. Right here, Justin Herbert throws 4 interceptions. Got sacked 4 times, where CJ Stroud got sacked 3 times. I'm not going to get into the offensive stuff. I mainly just want to focus on the defense, because if I go offense, then this thing's going to be way too long-winded trying to go through all these games real quick. So, fumbles. Dang, I didn't realize the Texans fumbled 3 times, lost 2, recovered 1. So Texans had a lot of fumbles. And then you have the Chargers. They fumbled 1 time. All right, let's get into like the sacks and stuff with so I'll be in this column right here. So the Texans had the 4 sacks, Chargers had 3 sacks, and then you get into interceptions. Chargers had 1 interception. Texans had 4 interceptions, 2 by Derek Stingley Jr., 70 yards total. One of those interceptions obviously was the pick 6. So, 32-12. How many people thought the Chargers were probably going to win this game? To be honest with you guys, I didn't think the Texans – I was hoping the Texans would win. But, to be honest with you guys, I did not think the Texans were going to win that game. So that was Texas Chargers. I think there's some obvious stuff there that shows why. And I haven't looked at all these, so we're going to look at them together and just kind of see what stats stand out defensively as far as sacks, interceptions, stuff like that. So this is Steelers versus the Ravens. Russell Wilson got sacked 4 times right here. No interceptions. And then Lamar Jackson, no interceptions, sacked only 1 time. That's pretty good to get only sacked only 1 time. So, and because there's no interceptions, I'm not going to really scroll down. I don't think there's any need to. This was probably more, not as much maybe I would say on the defense as more just the offense of the Ravens doing so good. Even though I said we're not going to look at offense, 299 total rushing yards. That's insane, guys. So if we were to look at the defense, obviously the Steelers weren't able to stop the run at all, allowing almost 300 rushing yards. So I guess you could tie that into defense. Lack of stopping the run on the Steelers. Box score for the Broncos, Bills. Let's look at these stats here. All right, so Bo Nix and the Broncos, no interceptions, sacked only 2 times. That's pretty good. Josh Allen, no interceptions, sacked only 2 times. 31-7 though. That's interesting to me. I watched that game, but I'm just trying to see like what stands out in the stats here. I think the Bills, 31-7. I mean, the Bills were just dominant, man. Receiving 272 yards. So definitely had the upper hand on them for, it was just combination. That's nuts. Total yards, look at that. So 210 rushing yards and total passing yards, 272. So what is that? 282, 482 total yards by the Bills. So the Bills just dominated them, rushing and passing. So even though there wasn't a lot of sacks or interceptions, stuff like that, I think the Bills are just a better team. Let's look at the Eagles, who has a really good defense. Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions. You can't throw that many interceptions and expect to win a freaking game, let alone a playoff game against a good defense. So sacked only 2 times. That's pretty good. Jalen Hurts sacked 2 times. Rushing for the Eagles, 169. That's pretty good. Jacobs only had 81. Total rushing yards for the Packers, 107. Eagles receiving yards wasn't even that good at 131. This was a defense, man, getting all those interceptions. This is their defense showing up, showing out kind of thing. So right here, Eagles, Zach Bond, 1 interception. Darius Slay Jr., 1. Quinyon Mitchell, 1 interception as well. Those 3 interceptions killed the Packers, man. That's a momentum kill. It's, a lot of interceptions, man. If you can score off an interception, it's like a double turnover because instead of you scoring points, and if, not only do you not score, it's going to sound stupid, I know, but not only do you not score points, but then you're allowing the other team to go and score points. So I look at certain turnovers, it's like a double whammy. As far as point spread goes. All right, so here's the Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jane Daniels, no interceptions, sacked only 1 time. Damn, that's good. No interceptions from Baker Mayfield. I know he fumbled the ball, so I know that was part of one of the things that was like the Buccaneers had a chance to win this game. Receiving yards, 185 for Tampa Bay. This is a close game. So I don't think the stats, there's probably not too big of a spread on the stats. You could look at the receiving yards for the Commanders, 268. I think the main thing was when Baker Mayfield right here, when he fumbled that ball, that was it, man. When he fumbled the ball and then the Commanders got the ball and they went down and scored, that was it. That was the big killer. So you could say that's a defensive play as well. Honestly, that was a huge momentum shift in the game. And instead of the Buccaneers going down and sealing the deal, they gave it up. So this one's going to be fun because this has some pretty crazy stuff in it. Vikings versus Rams. Rams 27, Vikings 9. I guess, first of all, prayers to everybody in LA, but I guess those fires lit a fire under the Rams' ass because they went out there and they freaking dominated the damn Vikings, bro. All right, so Sam Darnold, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, and got sacked 9 freaking times. You got to be kidding me. How often have you guys ever seen 9 sacks in one game, let alone a playoff game? So that just shows the dominance of the Rams being able to show up, show out. It wasn't like their offense did super great. 90 rushing yards for the Rams, 209 passing yards right here. And then you get into the defense. Here's sacks. There's one interesting one right here, 1.5 sacks by Byron Young. So if you guys remember a couple years ago, with McDaniels and Ziegler, we drafted Byron Young, but there was 2 Byron Youngs that draft. One was from Tennessee, one was from Alabama. So obviously we had drafted the wrong Byron Young, because our Byron Young from Alabama isn't even on the Raiders anymore. And the Byron Young that the Rams drafted got 1.5 sacks. So we drafted the wrong Byron Young. Kobe Turner right here had 2 sacks. Look at that, 9 sacks total. I mean, you're going to win a freaking – if you can get 9 sacks in a game, I know it's like unheard of, but damn, you're probably winning the damn game. Plus 1 interception. I mean, that Vikings defense showed up and showed out, man. And Justin Jefferson, I mean, he's, I would say, the best or second best wide receiver in the NFL. That's not Devontae anymore. Maybe at one point Devontae was the best, but do you guys kind of see my point on looking at some of those defensive stats, man? As we're watching these games, you know, it's going to be interesting as we go to the Super Bowl where these defenses are going to make the biggest impacts for the teams that win, you know? So as we kind of wrap up here, just kind of revisit real quick. The biggest surprises for me are like 2 or 3 things. One, it's the biggest spread between the contenders and pretenders. And obviously Raiders, I mean, we may have never been a contender, but I'm just saying the guys that were great had really great records. The guys that weren't good had really bad records. For the most part, with the way I'm looking at it, it really appears like these playoff teams and the ones that were great and contenders, they have a really good defense, and their defense is showing up and showing out in these playoff games, you know? So as I look at the Raiders, you know, we have Max Crosby, you know, Christian Wilkins. Hopefully he's healthy and can make a difference. But our defense has to do a much better job, guys. We really do. I mean, we really, to be middle of the tier when we've got this much talent on our team, obviously a good portion of that is because of the injuries. But we look at this team, if we ever want a chance to go to, you know, the playoffs and win some playoff games, yes, we need a quarterback. But almost more so, I would say we need a defense that can do some of the things that we're seeing in these playoffs. You know, we need a defense that maybe can get us 5+ sacks in a game. I'm not even saying 9. Get us 5 sacks in a game. I mean, that would be pretty awesome, you know. If we're going to spend this kind of money on a Max Crosby, if we're going to keep a Max Crosby, we got to have some big-time games at big-time moments, and the defense has to step up, you know. Yeah, we do need a quarterback. I agree with that. We need a play caller. I agree with all that. Like I lean more towards the offense. Like that's where I always want to be. But as I've looked at these teams, it's also made me reevaluate some of my like personal bias or analysis of the importance of defense. Absolutely will win you a championship. And so for everybody that's tried to, you know, push this offensive narrative and, you know, defense doesn't win championships anymore because you need a flashy quarterback, I don't think that's necessarily accurate, if I'm being honest with you guys. Like, I want the flashy offense. I want the flashy, you know, number one, you know, maybe touchdowns or something. But if you don't have a defense to stop the other team, I mean, what are you doing? You're not going to win championships. And yes, we play some really good offenses in our division with, you know, the quarterbacks of Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. But this is where you need to have great players on the defense that can step up and stop these guys when it matters most. Our defense has folded too many times, guys. Even if we have an elite quarterback, right? Even if we get the offense fixed, if we don't figure out a way to stop these elite offenses, we're never going to be a winning organization. I'm sorry, but we're not. And it proves it time and time again when all of us, including myself, so I'm pointing at myself, get enamored by you need to have the sexy offense and our defense struggles or is middle of the road, mediocre at best. And you can't be mediocre. You know, if we're going to have a Max Crosby, like those of you that want to keep Max Crosby and don't want to trade him, you know, maybe a defensive minded coach is the way to go. If you want to go with a sexy quarterback, then you may have to be willing to move on from a Max Crosby and use that as trade bait to move up. Unless you're going to sit tight and maybe draft Jackson Dart a little early. But as I'm looking at this, I mean, shoot, with the 6th pick overall, maybe we should go defense, you know? I mean, that Carter dude, he looks like a stud. He may not last till our pick, but if you go defense, like, do I want to do that in the draft? I'll be honest, no, I don't. But as I've looked at some of these stats and stuff, I also think you got to have an elite defense when it counts most, dude. You got to. What did Al Davis say? Like, the quarterback must go down and must go down the first, like, you know, like 10 plays or something, 10 minutes of the game, and go down hard. All these quarterbacks, no matter how elite they are, you can go back to the Tom Brady's, to the Peyton Mannings, to even Patrick Mahomes. I know it's hard to tackle Patrick Mahomes, but when those guys start eating dirt a lot, meaning they're getting hit and they're getting hit hard and they're getting hit a lot, they end up crumbling. They start seeing ghosts. That's what happened to Sam Darnold. He got sacked 9 times, dude. That's insane. I don't know what the record is for a quarterback to get sacked 9 times, but that's nuts. You're going to get in that quarterback's head, hitting them like that, and you could see it. Dude, Sam Darnold threw in the towel and crumbled. You know, it was like they ripped the spirit out of him. That defense on the Rams, like, ripped out his mojo and squeezed it in front of him, man. So, and I think, you know, like I said, I think Sam Darnold's colors truly showed. They, you know, when he doesn't have time to throw the ball, he's the same old Sam Darnold, which is one of the reasons why I do not want the Raiders to target Sam Darnold. You know, that's just where I'm at. We'll get in the chat here. I think that's about it that I wanted to say, but anything you guys want to put in here, if you disagree with me, let me know. And as we wrap up here, all right. Shout out to Watts. Said CJ Stroud played bad in the first half, but defense came through. Facts, man. They did. Absolutely, bro. If Ben Johnson does the bait and switch, we are screwed. I'm worried about that, bro. I don't want to put it out there, but I'm worried about that, which is one of the reasons why when I talked about John Gruden yesterday, at the very end, I had to go pick up my kids, but at the very end, I was like, you know, if the only way I see Gruden coming is like if there's almost no other better option. So if the Raiders, you know, twiddle their thumbs and, you know, we're going to wait for Ben Johnson and, you know, not hire anybody, we might be like the year of McDaniels and have nobody else to really like in the running because we waited too long. And, you know, it's going to be hard, not just for your head coach, but then to get the assistant coaches as well. So you're kind of like, you know, last in line to get some of the guys you want. So if we get stuck with a scenario like that, that's where I could see them maybe looking at Gruden. Like if Pete Carroll was gone, a lot of the, you know, top, you know, coaches were gone. If Ben wasn't to come to the Raiders, but that's at the end also why I said the stars would have to align. So said J-Dog, they've given him full control, big contract. They can't sign the paper after the playoffs Rooney rule. Got to get the DC right. DC defensive coordinator. Facts. Gabriel said, yeah. Now he's just messing around, dude. Yeah, Ben Johnson not officially hired. Whatever you're looking at is false. DC from Lions coming on Friday. That's what Raider Paul does, dude. He's like fucking. He always does that shit, man. Pittsburgh cannot run or pass. Yeah, facts, man. I'll take Justin Fields. I mean, at what cost? Would you be willing to pay Justin Fields $50 million plus? If Justin Fields wants like a Kirk Cousins type contract, $45 million a year, $50 million a year, $55, $60 million a year, are you willing to pay Justin Fields $45+ million? There goes almost half your cap space right there, bro. You got to think about that. Bills defense shut down the Broncos. Yep, facts. They did good, man. Even old ass Von Miller looked all right, you know. Running back first round. If they could keep Ben Johnson crew together, we may be in good hands. Yeah, but you got to wonder how much of that crew for the Lions is going to want to stay there, unless we're bumping all those guys up with a good pay increase. Running back first round necessary or not necessary unless Gentry there, Paul. Yeah, I agree. It's Gentry and you know what? There's some really good running backs, a deep running back class. You might want to wait till the second round. Maybe you should pull the trigger early. Like I'd say either one, like if Carter, a really good defensive guy is there, pull the trigger at 6 possibly, or Jackson Dart. Pull the trigger early on a Jackson Dart. I know it's probably earlier than most of us are wanting, but I don't think Jackson Dart's going to last till the second round. You know, Milrow, I would wait till the second round for a Milrow if you're targeting Milrow, but Jackson Dart, I think you're going to have to get him in the first round. Packers O-line was playing bad too. Yeah, they weren't blocking for Jacobs, man. Yeah. Mitchell got that game sealing INT. Yeah, he did. Mike Tomlin staying sort. Dude, you're messing me up with your spelling, bro. Commanders won off a banked field goal. Yeah, true. You're right. And that fumble from what's his name didn't help. Jordan Love, low key sus. Silly mistakes. Wait 1 second. I gotta text somebody real quick. All right. Yeah, Rams destroyed the Vikings. Yeah. Packers be back. Yeah, Jordan Love's going to be a good quarterback for a long time to come. I know he didn't have a good playoff game. You got to give credit, some good credit to the Eagles and their defense. But, Jordan Love is still a good quarterback. He may not look that good, in the heat of the moment, but he'll definitely bounce back. From the look of Genty, will fall in our lap. Yeah, I agree. Do you take him as the question at 6? Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth in my head, man. Genty is good, but we still need to draft QB at least by the second round. Yeah, facts. We got to address it. We do. Bowers and Genty. Now it's powerful offseason right there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a running back, man. Running back's one of my favorite positions. Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Josh Jacobs, Darren McFadden, Napoleon Kaufman. Dude, I love me a good running back. But to take him at 6, it's also kind of tough to want to digest that when we all know we got to get a quarterback and start developing a quarterback. You know what I mean? And the QB free agency isn't good. The QB options, like to trade for a guy, isn't good. I don't want Dak Prescott. That dude's making way too much money. And I know he's got no trade clause, but I don't even want to consider that. And then all these other options that are people, that are like drinking beer out of their boots and whatever the hell else. Like they're going to throw out there all these rumors about quarterbacks the Raiders should target. Most of them I want nothing to do with, including Kirk Cousins, including Justin Fields, only if it would be a good contract, cost effective, but not Justin Fields at $50 million. That's way too much. He's not worth that. And he's going to want a Kirk Cousins type deal. Wide receiver is also an option. Yeah, true. It is deep in the QB. That's why not taking Genty, Why not taking Genty? Oh, you mean in the first round? Yeah. We'll need a wide receiver with running back, solid running back. I mean, hopefully we get T. Higgins, man, but BPA, but best player available. Might be the smart way to do it, man. The receivers will get open more. Worried about the run. Best player available. We need a GM and HC first. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I know, bro. His only knocks is mileage, but he built different. Yeah, I think he's like kind of short though. I think he's like 5'7" or something like that. I'll have to look that up, how tall Genty is. If anybody knows offhand in the chat, or if you want to look it up, let me know how tall, what's the height and weight of Genty. I appreciate that. It's not as deep at QB. Dart won't make it past the third round. Carson Beck is going to Miami. It's only 3 QBs in this draft. Ewers is transferring. Dylan Gabriel undersized. Yeah, I don't want Gabriel, bro. I don't. I know there's all those rumors from, the clickbaiters, but yeah, I don't want that. Jalen Milroe is a Tyrod Taylor. Could be, man. What do you think about Milroe being like a Justin Fields? You think Milroe's not as good as a Justin Fields was coming out of college? I'd be curious on that. I mean, he's probably not, but I'd be curious your opinion on that. But Genty would help O'Connell too. Yeah, that's true. O'Connell done. SK, not the end of the world. Not like these QBs coming out are superstars. Yeah. Dart is good though if we can get him. Yeah. O'Connell is a backup, bro. We just gotta get a QB better. My only caveat to the O'Connell guys, I know you guys probably don't want him or whatever. If he can get his lower body stronger this offseason and really focuses on it to get his feet moving in the pocket to be less. I mean, he's always going to be a pocket passer, but so he can scramble a little bit better in the pocket. You might have something to work with there. Not saying he's going to be a superstar. I don't know. He's got an accurate arm. Like his decision making is pretty good. His throwing motion is good. Like there's stuff to work with, you know. It's getting those feet moving, dude. He's got to get his feet stronger and his legs stronger. Dart second round, first Genty. He said, yeah, that's more realistic. I don't know, man. I remember Jacob carried the offense, so Genty can 2.0 level. No, I agree. I agree. It's not a bad way to go. I wouldn't be mad at it if we went Genty in the first round. That's real watch and see. Go hiding. Nice. Genty will actually score touchdowns. Justin Fields probably sucks, bro. If Tomlin can't let him start over Russ. Let's fuck no. 8-2 with Fields. Even Big Ben came out and said they should have never switched QBs. Okay, blame Tomlin then. Genty with Milrow would be kind of fun. Russian frenzy. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think we get new DC. Then the playoffs, because 8-2 QB wasn't starting. Like you playing Lamar Jackson, you started an old Russ over Justin Fields. 1 hour late, but hope you're doing good. Raider Nation. Shout out to you, Greg. It's all good, bro. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, T. Higgins be solid. That's what I want, bro. I want to target T. Higgins, man. If we can get T. Higgins, man, then that opens up a lot of options in the draft, man. Because remember, free agency happens before the draft. No more signing big name wide receivers. Dude, did you see T. Higgins, though, man, this year? If he stays healthy, yeah. I want T. Higgins, bro. I hear you, but, man, I would love to have me a T. Higgins on this team. Genty, 5'5", 140 pounds. Just kidding. Nice. 5'9", 216. 5'9" is not terrible. 216, that's pretty good. I thought he was shorter than that, but Genty like a mouse in the house. He's got that lower body strength, man. The lower body center of gravity. Justin Fields don't like to throw the ball for some reason. Yeah. My main knock on Fields is his like arm throwing motion and his accuracy and his arm throwing motion is not very good. It's just not, guys. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are big on Justin Fields, so I've tried to, I don't want to ruffle the feathers too much. This is why I don't like Justin. He's got legs, right? He knows how to use them, but he has a noodle arm, dude. His arm is not accurate, especially the deep ball. So can he maybe improve better on his throwing motion and his accuracy? Yeah, he can. But there's some big things. If you're looking at a guy that you're going to pay 45+ million, I'm out. That's too much for a guy like that. You know what I mean? I'd rather roll with O'Connell and try to work on his lower body. He likes to run. I prefer big back like Derrick Henry. Reminds me of another Ohio State QB who loved to run, who was a Raider. Oh, you talking about damn, dude. Terrell Pryor. You talking about Terrell Pryor, Watts? I think you are. You don't want to say his name, I bet, huh? Even if you build around O'Connell, we can still fix the O-line running back. I mean, you got to. I mean, and you know what? Who was it? Someone said something about Brady had kept, kind of, pounding the drum on the Lions and how the Lions have, I think it was Lions game, whatever game he was covering, how they had a good O-line and running back, Oh, then became a wide receiver for the Browns. Yeah, you definitely talking about Terrell Pryor then. Not saying long-term option. The thing with Genty, a complimentary running back, like a bigger back, is needed, such as Derrick Henry. No, they're different. Didn't show up, Steelers. What are you talking about, Raider Paul? Whose defense? You talking about the Ravens, bro? Didn't show up. I don't even know what you're trying to say, man. So we got to pull this up again. Raider Paul be trolling everybody, bro. He likes to get people fired up like me. I mean, 299 yards rushing by the Ravens, bro. I don't know. No, what are we doing here? All right, let's keep rolling. already read that one. All right. Ole Gordon Jr., DJ Giggins actually have the size of Derrick Henry and are good running backs. Devin Neal, too. Oh, thanks for that, Watts. So you guys can screenshot that. You can check those guys out. Be looking for some of those guys in the combine coming up. I don't know, man. He said Genty is like a Bowers pick. Just do it. Hell yeah. Tragedy turned triumph. Shout out, bro. Hopefully he's doing good. Fields ain't coming to Las Vegas unless he's trash. Nice. Yes, Pryor. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder how Terrell Pryor would be hyped up and people would want him if he was a quarterback now. People didn't want that style quarterback back then, but now everybody wants them. Come on, Texans. Yeah, let's go, man. Against the Chiefs coming up. Yep, FKC, bro. FKC. James Furpo said he got legs, knows how to use them. Reminds me of ZZ Top. She's got legs, knows how to use it. Yeah, I know. That's why I said that, bro. That's why I said that. Yeah, I'll say shit to see if anybody picks up on it. Good catch, James, for sure, bro. Steelers get Genty, then Dart. I think it sounds good. Yeah, yes. Best player, Ben Trash Pickens. What? Yes, and the best player, Ben Trash Pickens. Oh, you're talking about the Steelers, yeah. Yeah, Pickens missed. Damn. He had a couple, like, I thought he was going to catch the ball or something, but he had a couple times where it's just like, man. So, and I thought Pickens was going to do good for him in the playoffs, but all right, guys, I'm going to head on out, I think. I appreciate it, man. You know, again, title of the video, does defense win championships? I think they do, man. I think they do. Let's keep an eye out through these playoffs. Let's really kind of analyze this. Let's see how important it is for the defense and see if, you know, hardcore Raiders an idiot or whatever. But as I think that, you know, as cold weather games and as these playoffs, you know, continue, and there's a lot of years, if I'm being honest with you guys, where like I don't watch the playoffs or like there's certain games I'll watch and won't watch. This is one of the few years where I feel like the competition in the playoffs have been like really good, where like I kind of want to watch it. One of the reasons, like I'm rooting against the Broncos and the Chargers and whatnot, you know, because I want them to lose for obvious reasons. But even after that, man, I mean, we're going to see some really good playoff games coming up, man. These teams that went in the playoffs, like a lot of these like top tier teams had some really good records. And I think they're going to be going against some other teams with some really good records as well. Whereas in some of the years past, it's been a lot of mediocre, above average teams. Now we're dealing with, I feel like a lot of elite teams. And then the question will be, is how many of these teams will take a big step back because of free agency or players leaving their team, stuff like that. So whether it's trades or being signed by another team, but you know, we could see like every year in the NFL, we could see a big shift from some of these teams, you know? So, Dixon Sider, salute, man. Hope you're doing good, big dog. He said, J-Dog said, Will Howard or Brady Cook later after we get Genty and O-line. It's not a bad way to go. I always say I won't watch Raider football. Tragedy said, yep, Raiders are first at run QB. Times have changed, yeah. Do you think about that real quick? We were talking about Terrell Pryor. I mean, does anybody remember, if I'm remembering correctly, wasn't that Al Davis's last pick in the draft? Last pick of the draft was a Terrell Pryor. Even as Al Davis's, rest in peace, as his later years in life, he was like thinking outside the box and going for, you know, a quarterback that maybe not everybody wanted, where now everybody wants the Terrell Pryor style quarterback. Al Davis was ahead of his time even back then. Had Raiders had an offensive scheme or play calling, and remember, then we drafted Derek Carr, and Derek Carr took over. But had we had an offensive coordinator that could like work with the skill set of a Terrell Pryor, who knows what he may have turned out to be. I know he went to the Browns, tried the QB thing or whatever, and then switched to wide receiver. But it's interesting. You know, you kind of think back and maybe think about maybe what may have been, or maybe Al Davis and Terrell Pryor, the last pick that Al Davis ever did. And Al Davis was like always like ahead of the game. And even in his like later years, he was trying to look for something that other teams didn't have, So even though if it may have not been Terrell Pryor, Al Davis may have been hitting the nail on the head at least for, where the NFL might change to. So interesting, man. He said, and then I watch Raider football and pay for tickets. Oh, I got you. Yeah, he's like, I always say I'm not going to watch Raider football because you're pissed off. Yeah, and then you always like watch Raider games and pay for tickets. I know, bro. I'm the same. I get that way too. So I feel it, man. Yes, that was Al Davis's last pick. Appreciate that, Gabriel. Yeah, it's interesting, dude. I don't know. I mean, to kind of think about the Terrell Pryor. Thanks for bringing that up, Watts. To kind of maybe think about a few things. Raiders are first to tell Terrell Pryor would be a wide receiver too. Nice. He didn't listen. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Terrell Pryor wasn't ever going to be a good quarterback. But if you like a Justin Fields, like, why didn't you like Terrell Pryor? That's what I would say. If you want Justin Fields, I mean, like, maybe Justin Fields a little better than Terrell Pryor. But if Pryor would have been a wide receiver on the Raiders, with DC both on the field would be a good combo. Yeah, that would have been interesting. I mean, you guys remember that game against the Steelers? It was like one of the longest runs in Raiders history. It was like a 99 or 98 yard touchdown or like 90 something yards with Terrell Pryor. Yeah, I remember that run by Terrell Pryor. That was freaking insane, dude. He smoked everybody, dude. Terrell Pryor, they can run pretty fast. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate everybody for hopping in here. Much love, much respect. I'm always trying to think differently, right? We're all talking about the coach and the GM. I kind of hope that the GM is actually Champ Kelly. I do like Champ Kelly. I know Gabriel asked that yesterday in my top 5. I know there's talk of the dude from Tampa Bay, Century or something. I forget his name. Might come. I know some other guys in the running for the general manager. For me, I wouldn't mind seeing Champ Kelly get promoted. I wanted that last year. I thought Champ Kelly and Dave Ziegler did a good job, but I wouldn't mind seeing Champ Kelly move up, or maybe even Tom Brady. Maybe Tom Brady needs to hang up the hat. He probably won't because he's making so much money. Hang up the hat on the football thing, and Tom Brady be the damn GM. Take some accountability, some responsibility, instead of sourcing this out. But, maybe a role like John Elway did back in the day. Lynch, was it Jonathan Lynch or whatever for the Niners? There's been guys that have done it, but there's also been a lot of failures of guys that have done it. So maybe Brady don't want that heat, but or that smoke. But and then for coaches, where I stand right now, I don't know. If I was to pick, I would probably go my selection, because I know Gabriel asked this, but like 2 shows ago, I talked about my selection of who I would want, but I'll just revisit it right now. My first pick would be Gruden. I'm probably like a 10% or 5% or very low percentage versus other people, which is fine, mainly because I want that tuck game redemption for Gruden and the Raiders. And I think that Gruden's really the only coach that can continue the Al Davis legacy and pass it on to somebody else, because he knew Al Davis personally, even though Al Davis traded him. But I think he's one of the few guys to really get it. And that respect for Al Davis. So that's kind of my main reason. It's not necessarily because I think he's the best coach. There's probably other coaches that might do better and stuff like that, but that's my main reason. After Gruden would be, so you got Gruden, and then I'd say Ben Johnson would be my second. Third, I guess I'm warming up to Pete Carroll. I go Pete Carroll third. Fourth, I hate to say it, but Belichick, I'd throw Belichick's name in there fourth. And then fifth, because I know Gabriel asked for 5. I don't know. Do I even throw out the name Deion Sanders? I've kind of talked about that these last couple shows, so I don't know if I even want to mess with that. But I know the reports are the Raiders are not interested in Sanders. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want to put Sanders' hat in the mix. I know Mike McCarthy's name's probably going to be popping up. I don't even know if I have a fifth one, to be honest with you guys. If I say Deion Sanders, it's not because I really want him, but, and that's not who I think the Raiders will pick. That's my to-do order, or that would be my list. So, and like I said yesterday, if you're out on Gruden, I get it, dude, the emails were messed up and all that. But the one thing I'll say, like I said yesterday, if just one team that's not the Raiders interviews John Gruden and John Gruden hype train begins, I think it will begin. But once one NFL team interviews Gruden, if it happens, then probably another team will interview Gruden, and then the Gruden hype train will begin, and then there might be a lot more hype on the John Gruden thing. But we're also on a tight time frame as far as tight window. If the Raiders really do want Ben Johnson, and if the Lions do go to the Super Bowl, we're going to be waiting a while before we know if the Raiders are actually going to hire Ben Johnson. And there's a lot of things that can happen between now and the Super Bowl. And I don't remember when the Super Bowl is this year. I know normally it's around like February 2nd or something. So I'm not even sure if they pushed it back and it's later in February. But we got a little ways to go, probably mid-February, I think, before we're even going to be at the Super Bowl. So I know I'm not supposed to say that name, but James said, no, Gruden 3.0, but that would be an okay reason, though, but not happening. It's not happening. That's why I said the stars would have to align, bro. And you know what? I like people is, I know people are on the other side of the fence, and you know what? I'm not going to attack anybody for having a different opinion. Sometimes I will, but if you want a different quarterback, I'm being open-minded, dude. Appreciate who's that? Dr. Cheese, your best Raiders channel on YouTube. Keep it up, brother. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that a lot. I used to do this a lot, man, and don't always get a chance to, but you know what? I always love you guys. People have some great, great things to say on the Raiders here. And so, I appreciate everybody that, comes in, we chime in, chop it up. We ain't doing this for money. We're doing this to be real and what's going to make the Raiders great again kind of thing, Real talk. Raider Nation said, what's good, man? Just came across the channel. Good luck. Keep the content rolling. Appreciate that. Real talk. Much love to you, man. I don't always, sometimes I'll go kind of dark mode for a while when I'm really pissed off the Raiders because I'm such a freaking hard, and let's be honest, if you're watching me, I might be hardcore Raider, but we're all like hardcore Raider fans. But sometimes I come off the handle and I just lose my shit. So there's times where I won't do shows because I don't want to come off the handle and, put out negative stuff about my team because they piss me off so much. But yeah, much respect, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. I love Gruden, but his playbook, not like Ben Johnson. No, I mean, you're right, man. And that's, if Raider Paul, if you were listening, that's one of the reasons why, when we went through this and I talked about Belichick, if he was the Raiders coach, and how infatuated John Gruden was with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, there's probably only one coach that Gruden would even consider being an offensive play calling. Because you got to think, if whatever happens, right? Because we don't know if whatever happens, and say if Bill Belichick was our head coach, in my opinion, John Gruden would be the offensive coordinator for only one coach, and that would be Bill Belichick. And if Bill Belichick's our coach, you think he's going to bring in Josh McDaniels? I mean, Josh McDaniels is probably going to go and be the offensive coordinator for the Patriots again, but I do not think Bill Belichick would bring in Josh McDaniels to the Raiders after Josh McDaniels being a head coach and that whole flop situation. You know what I'm saying? So the point is that Bill Belichick would need an offensive coordinator. My dream scenario would be to have even if Gruden wasn't the head coach, to be coached, maybe be humble himself, take a back seat to a Bill Belichick, even a Pete Carroll, maybe Gruden would be willing to do that. But I think Gruden could learn some stuff from Bill Belichick to where even though Gruden's 61, I think Belichick could help show Gruden some stuff and help improve John Gruden's play calling and John Gruden's playbook. Because you're right, at times the play calling and the playbook was not up to par, if I'm being real about it. You know what I mean? So, but that doesn't mean a more experienced guy like Bill Belichick couldn't help Gruden in some certain areas and help get rid of some of Gruden's certain tendencies. But all these, what I'm saying is highly, highly unlikely. It's the impossible kind of thing, man. All right. James Furbo said Sunday, February 9th, Super Bowl. All right. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I was kind of winging that without looking it up, man. Jackson Dart, Justin Fields. I'll go Jackson Dart all day long, man. Justin Fields, I'm sorry. If Justin Fields would take 20-25 million a year, I would consider it, but he's not, bro. It's like Kirk Cousins last year. Kirk Cousins wanted way too much money, bro. You know what I mean? Who said or O'Connell? Well, and you know what? You get a Jackson Dart, guys. You start O'Connell and you develop Jackson Dart. You know what I mean? Like there's a solution to the problem. Yes, Minshew should be gone. Absolutely, yeah. Godson, bro. Nice. McDaniel might follow Bill Belichick to North Carolina. That could happen too, you know. But I wouldn't rule out the Belichick thing, man. You know, if we get down to the wire and the Super Bowl and whatever, Ben Johnson backs out, somebody hires him or whatever, be looking for, I would say, the top 3 guys. Because at that point, who knows? Maybe freaking even Deion Sanders is spoken for. But at that point, when the Super Bowl happens, if we're up creek without a paddle, look for 3 names. And you know, if they're still available, you know, I know Belichick's with North Carolina, but the 3 names would be Gruden, Pete Carroll, and Belichick. All 3 of those guys could still be in the running to be our coach if we miss out on Ben Johnson. We get into the you know, the big game and all that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. D Menace, salute, big bro. Hopefully doing good. Pop up here. Salute hardcore, busy at work. Popped in to hit the like button. I'll catch the playback. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, mainly we were just covering the defense, D Menace, like some defensive stuff. So try our best to kind of do a fair analysis. Dart behind JPJ would be dope. Yeah, who was it? Pigs or somebody was saying, that Jackson Powers, Johnson, and I think it was Dart, like went to the same high school or something together. I could be wrong on that, but something along those lines. So yeah. J Dog said, can't wait to see Vrabel with his McGoogles. Nice, bro. Nice. All right, guys. I'm gonna get on out of here. I appreciate all of you. That's right. Raiders. Appreciate you guys. Much love. Always remember, there's only one nation. That's Raider Nation. I'm Hardcore Raider. Hardcore Raider out.